morning, boys and girls. We're going to sing one of our favorites. It's a big rockin' one. When we sing it upstairs, usually you can hear our feet stomping on the ground. It's Romans 16:19. So stand up and get ready to chant and sing with us. Romans 16:19 says,
What?
Romans 16:19 says, be excellent at what is good, be innocent of evil. Be excellent at what is good, be innocent of evil. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan. God will crush him underneath your feet. God of peace will soon crush Satan. God will crush him underneath your feet. The God of peace will soon crush Satan underneath your feet. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan underneath your feet. Romans 16:19 says, Romans 16:19 says, be excellent at what is good, be innocent of evil. Be excellent at what is good, be innocent of evil. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan. God will crush him underneath your feet. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan. God will crush him underneath your feet. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan underneath your feet. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan underneath your feet. Good singing. Thanks. I hope that song brought a smile to your face. As you can hear, Pastor Doug decided there wasn't enough of a bass sound that when we were singing that song, so he's the sound that you hear throughout the whole song. But I loved it because it got Miss Kelsey and I to crack a smile. So I hope you sang and had fun with us this morning. We are on lesson 4 of Roanoke Jones, Ace Detective. And today we are going to learn about how we need to show mercy. Now, mercy is more than just playing that game where your sibling grabs you and you have to yell mercy. Maybe it's just my children who play that. But we're really going to learn that we are called to forgive, but we are called to then show mercy to other people. So that's going to be kind of a tough thing to learn. But before we get started, I want to ask you my mystery question. Do you have your detective hats on? Do you have your magnifying glass? And are you ready to deduce this question with me? What goes up but never goes down? I hope you answered in the comment box below. Your age. Man, I think people have been trying to figure out how to make that not true for decades and decades. But it's true. Your age goes up and never goes down. So I want to see what your answers are. So we need to go beyond forgiving others for mistakes and showing them mercy. Showing them mercy. So if somebody hurts us and we say, and they apologize and they have a sincere heart, we would say, I forgive you. And a lot of times we kind of just leave it at that. Well, they said sorry. They asked for forgiveness. You thought that they were authentic. You thought that they were sincere in their hearts. Those are all things we look for, and ourselves too. When we apologize, it shouldn't be like, sorry, or sorry. It needs to be truthful and that you really are sorry, or please forgive me and you mean it. But there's one step further that God asks us, and that is to show mercy. Mercy is that someone has hurt you, they've asked for forgiveness, and you say, I forgive you. And that's a sincere part of your heart, that you really have forgiven them. Because the next thing is that we can't hold a grudge. We can't hold them to a different standard. We can't say, but it was really mean, so I'm still mad. None of those things can take place after we have said, I forgive you, if we are truly going to show mercy to others. So think about it. I'm a sinner, saved by grace. I have sinned against God. I have made mistakes. I have had to sincerely ask for forgiveness, not just to God, but to a friendship or to my children or to my spouse. I've asked for forgiveness and they have forgiven me, but then they need to show me mercy, and that's not holding a grudge against me. Now, God forgives us, and he also does not hold a grudge against us. That's what mercy is taking forgiveness a step further. And I have an amazing story. Again, these scriptures, it's a part of David's story that we've kind of heard about, but we've talked a lot about different parts of David's life. And we've even done a little bit about his best friend, Jonathan. And even though my story doesn't really talk about him, I want you to remember that David and Jonathan had a deep, deep friendship. Jonathan was King Saul's son. And in that deep friendship, this is kind of where our story takes place. So I want you to get your Bibles ready, and I want you to turn to 1 Samuel chapter 24. Show me your Bibles. Show me that you are ready, because that is when we dive deep into today's case. It is the case of the missing shepherd. Dun, dun, dun. I hope you're ready, boys and girls, because I'm excited to deduce this with you. Now, missing persons is cases that people and detectives work on. So this is a missing persons case. We don't know where David went. So let's dive in and break through this case. Here's our Bible point. So I really want you to do some sort of action at home. I will show mercy to others. Think of a way that you can do mercy with your hands. Maybe you're going to really release your heart in anything that you hold against somebody. I will show mercy to others. Here we go, boys and girls. In this Bible story, this missing person was the name of David, a likable young man who had spent time as a shepherd. He fought a huge Philistine soldier named Goliath and won. He married a princess and had been a general of the king's army. But now David was gone. Dun, dun, dun. Now there are certain questions you have to ask in a missing person's case. The very first one is, why is this person gone? Was he kidnapped? Was he killed in battle? Did he get lost? Well, the answer in this case was that David ran away, and he ran away because of the king. You see, the king at the time was a man named Saul, and he wasn't a very good king. Saul started to believe that the people of the kingdom loved David more than they loved him. And because of this, he started to think that David wanted to kill him and steal the throne away from him. And because of this, Saul ordered David to be put to death. And that is why David ran away. The thing was, David didn't want to kill Saul. He knew God had made Saul king, and it wasn't David's place to kill him, even though God told him that one day he would be king. So David left and he hid in the wilderness. Saul now had a problem. He wanted to kill David, but he couldn't because David ran away. So Saul began to search for David. And as he did, he opened up the case of the missing shepherd. Dun, dun, dun. Saul took 3,000 soldiers out into the wilderness to hunt for David. Soon, one of Saul's informants passed along some information that David was hiding in the wilderness of En-Gedi. Aha! Now Saul had a solid lead in the case, and he set off for En-Gedi to find David and kill him. Now, there are a couple more details about David that I didn't mention earlier. 1, David was smart. 2, David wasn't alone. He had some men who were loyal to him, and he knew that David hadn't done anything wrong, and when they heard Saul was in the area, they found a cave to hide him. Soon Saul's troops came really close to where David and his men were hiding. And it's here that the story takes an interesting twist. When Saul was looking, he spotted a cave and went into it. And guess what? The cave he went into was the cave that David and his men were hiding in. Now this cave was very dark inside, and Saul thought that he was alone, but David and his men were watching him. The men whispered,
"Today the Lord is telling you, I will certainly put your enemy into your power to do as you wish."
The men were telling David that he should kill Saul, and the plan made sense. Saul wasn't supposed to be the king anymore. God had chosen David to replace him, and Saul had been really mean to David. David deserved to get some payback. So David crept forward with his sword in hand. He got closer and closer to Saul. But at the last moment, when his men were sure that he would kill the king, David only cut off the corner of Saul's robe instead. The men were confused. and wanted to attack the king themselves, but David restrained them. After a few moments, Saul left the cave, completely unaware that David had been right next to him. After a few more moments, David left the cave too. He bowed to the ground and shouted to Saul,
"My lord the king, why do you listen to the people who say I am trying to harm you? This very day you can see with your own eyes it isn't true. For the Lord placed you at my mercy back there in the cave. Some of my men told me to kill you, but I spared you. For I said, I will never harm the king. He is the Lord's anointed one. Look, my father, at what I have in my hand. It is a piece of the hem of your robe. I cut it off, but I didn't kill you. This proves that I am not trying to harm you and that I have not sinned against you, even though you have been hunting for me to kill me."
At that moment, the facts of the case became clear to Saul. Saul realized that he had it all wrong. Saul had shown mercy to a man he wouldn't have shown mercy to. Saul started to cry and said to David,
"You are a better man than I am, for you have repaid me good for evil. Yes, you have been amazingly kind to me today, but when the Lord put me in a place where you could have killed me, you didn't do it. Who else would let his enemy get away when he had him in his power? May the Lord reward you well for the kindness you have shown me today. And now I realize that you are surely going to be king, and that the kingdom of Israel will flourish under your rule."
After this, Saul decided to leave David alone and gave up the chase for him. The solution to the case had presented itself. Saul needed to find David, and he did, but only because David revealed himself to Saul. And through it all, we see what type of person David was. He was a person who was willing to show mercy. And with that, we can say, case closed. David's example, had he done anything wrong? No. He didn't deserve it. And he was now trying to be killed by Saul. Saul deserved to be punished, and David had a chance to do it. But David showed mercy instead. He didn't kill Saul, but bowed down to him in front of all of his troops. David showed Saul honor. So the next time someone is mean to you or makes a mistake, remember David's example. Remember mercy, the mercy that David showed to Saul. And most of all, remember the mercy that God has shown to you. Case closed. And I have a perfect Bible verse. In Matthew 5:7, it says, God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Boys and girls, I hope not only that we memorize it, but we commit it to our hearts. That would be a great verse to just have memorized in our brains, believe it in our hearts so that it flows out of our mouths. Because I promise you, sometime in your lifetime, you are going to be asked to show mercy to somebody. And when I think of instances where I've had to truly forgive someone, I have then had to pray things like, Lord, allow me not to think of how they hurt me. Lord, please allow my heart to feel soft towards that person again. Lord, help me to find trust in them. Lord, remind me that I am not perfect and I have probably offended that friend also, and that friend is still my friend because they have forgiven me and shown me mercy. These are relational things that we're going to be really kind of called upon the rest of our lives. It's going to happen with your siblings. It's going to happen with your friends. It's going to happen within your family. And I promise you, boys and girls, as God is giving us these examples, he is molding us and creating us, because there'll be a moment when we have to call upon that. There is going to be a moment where I need to forgive somebody and then I need to show them mercy. And we talked about these words of humility and not having a prideful spirit for 3 weeks. Think of how that leads into the word mercy now. So we've learned how to have a humble heart, show humility, not to be filled with pride, ask for help, give help. And now we are to forgive, but not just forgive, to show mercy. All of these things are like a stair step to qualities that God is calling us to have in our lives, because that is how we communicate and live in this big world. One of my favorite things to remind myself of, to remind my 4 kiddos since the time I sent them off to school, is to say we are called to be in the world, but not of it. Being in the world is to be hold grudges and to be angry and to spread gossip and to want harm and something wrong to somebody who has hurt you. They hurt me, I'm going to hurt them 10 times worse. That is what the world kind of shows us in the news and with angry spirits. That is not being in the world and of the world. We are to be in the world and showing God's love, God's forgiveness, God's mercy, and not let the world continue to rub on us the negative qualities, but to be this light in the world and show something different. What an amazing thing to have an opportunity to forgive a friend who doesn't know Jesus, who maybe isn't in a home that sees love and forgiveness and peace and patience. And you model that with your friendship to them. My goodness, you can move mountains, boys and girls. God has called us to be that shining light in a very dark world. And mercy is the key. Mercy is to go out of our way to show forgiveness and to let them say, I'm going to give you another chance. Now you get to be protective in your hearts. Lord, boys and girls, if somebody is harming you or hurting you, or you've had to forgive them time and time and time again, you can still show forgiveness and mercy. But then when I tell you that it's an arm's length, right? You get to hold that friendship at an arm's length. If you don't feel protected, if you don't feel trusted and safe and secure, God is giving you those feelings to protect you. So maybe that means you're not going to spend all day at that person. Maybe their house doesn't feel safe. Maybe they don't feel safe to play with on the playground. God is also equipping you to know how to walk away from something that is not good. So you can show forgiveness, you can show mercy, but you can also ask God to help protect you if you don't feel like you are safe in something. And as always, please tell me your biggest heart's concerns, anything that I can pray for you. If this kind of rubbed your heart like, oh, I want to, or I've been harmed or hurt and I don't know how to forgive or show mercy to somebody, please call me because I'd love to walk through that journey with you. And I am praying for an opportunity. And more than likely, since you're stuck at home, you're going to have an opportunity to forgive and show mercy to your brothers and sisters. Dun, dun, dun. What would that be like? I don't know. So I kind of hope one of them has to tell you sorry and you get to have an opportunity to forgive and to show mercy. I hope you let me know in the comment box the challenge you maybe have had this week and what that looks like. Let's deduce some pictures together as we review our Bible lesson. Oh, I went so fast.
Okay, junior detectives, it's time to put your skills to the test. As any good detective knows, sometimes finding the clues means that you need to look closer. Answer these questions and try to deduce what the objects are.
Number 1, boys and girls, what does it mean to show mercy to others? B, show kindness to others even when they are mean. Sometimes that means showing kindness and walking away because you don't need to stay where it's toxic or unsafe or ugly spirited. Here's our first clue. Oh, an old, worn-torn Bible. I have one of my grandpa's. It's even written in German. Sweet. Question number 2. Imagine that you are playing tag on the playground at school and someone runs into you and knocks you down. What should you do? D, forgive them and then be kind to them. I've seen way too many times in my 20 years of teaching, if someone knocks them down, they get up and push the other kid down. We always know that that is wrong, but our temper and not thinking clearly sometimes gets the best of us. So I hope, boys and girls, that you have an opportunity to restrain yourselves. Here's 1. 2. 3. Ooh, an old clock. The little hand and the big hand. Boys and girls, what an opportunity to learn how to tell time this way. Question 3. Imagine that you run into a bully at school and he says something mean to you. The bully continues to be mean to you for the rest of the day. What should you do? Continue to show kindness to the bully even though he is mean. Boys and girls, I will say all 4 of my kids have had these opportunities, unfortunately, in their life. And you, again, if you don't feel safe or you feel like a grown-up needs to know, you always have that right to show kindness and then to go and make sure that you have an adult in your corner. Never be scared to call into a teacher to be a helpmate. Ooh, what is this one? Oh, a fingerprint. Boys and girls, I want you to know that you can make a fingerprint at home. If you take a black washable marker and marker up your thumb, you can make your own fingerprint and take your magnifying glass and study your prints. And what I want you to learn is that no one in the entire world has the same print of you because God has made you so uniquely yourself. It is your own identifier. Isn't that neat? In our Bible story today, King Saul wanted to kill David, so David ran away. Later, David was able to sneak up on King Saul while they were in the cave. How did David show King Saul mercy? He cut off a piece of King Saul's robe, then bowed down to him outside the cave to show him honor. I want to talk about that in a little bit, boys and girls, when we finish our last question. Here's 1, 2, 3. Ooh, a pen. And here is our Bible verse. Fill in the blanks. God blank those who are blank, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Remember, God is showing us mercy every day from all of our mistakes, and we need to show that to others. And, oh, crazy. I bet one of our grandmas used to have a cup like that.
Well done, detectives! Remember to keep your eyes open and your wits sharp.
So remember, boys and girls, that I have mailed you every week for my elementary kids your Bible memories sheet and review and even a family devotional. So you should have this home. I sent it in the mail over a month ago. And then for my preschool friends, I made you your own corresponding color sheet and Bible story to somewhat match. So I hope that you take this week to kind of have it as a family devotional, practicing showing mercy. Here is the neatest thing that I love about the story of David and King Saul. Just picture your biggest enemy, the whole crowd behind you, you're in war times, is telling you, here's your opportunity. Some could say, God put him here right in front of me. I must be allowed to kill him. That's what David's soldiers thought, right? In fact, he had to hold them back. And David went up to him, cut the corner of his robe. Think of the self-control that he had to have. Think of how deeply his heart had to be in tune with God's intention and God's desire for his heart, for him to show so much restraint in what he did to King Saul. But he used it as an example to say, I could have harmed you, and I didn't. I showed you mercy. David gave Saul the benefit of the doubt, and instead of it turning into war and killings, it turned Saul's heart around. So think of the most hardened heart person, maybe the biggest bully in your classroom, somebody who just drives you bonkers. I promise you, we've all had it. Talk to your mom and dad. Say, Mom and Dad, did anyone pick on you at school and it drove you bonkers? We all have a story. So think of the toughest nut to crack, someone who just was constantly mean. What would happen to that person if the believers in Jesus Christ, who love the Lord and really want to glorify him in all that we say and do every day, that's you, boys and girls, that's me, that's all of us, if we showed forgiveness and then we showed mercy, this person is going to see, instead of anger and pushing them back down, instead of anger and gossip and retaliating and making everyone go against him because he's so mean, that he only saw grace, that he only saw forgiveness, and then he saw mercy, that I was being peaceful and patient with him. We have an opportunity to change the hardest of hearts. And above all, whenever you have those struggles, take them to Jesus. Lay it at his feet, because he is working out all things for his glory. I promise you that. That's my prayer this week, boys and girls. I love and miss you all.